Hmm. Wait a second for this to get going. So how's it going, everybody? I'm the BTC Reaper, and my goal on this channel is to teach you how to reap the rewards of trading, whether price is going up or down. So over on the Dixie for the daily, we are trying to push forward. We did get a big green candle that invalidated our bear flag possibility. Remember, that was not a very confirmed flag, and we said not to trade very closely on it. This shows why these flags you want to wait for confirmations. So we had a loose touch here, a loose touch here. You would want to watch for that second rejection and then a pull back. That would have given you toward your third touch, and then that could have given you your bearish breakdown if you were in it for doing shorts. Bearish means you're going to sell off if you don't know that. So if you're confused by all these indicators, visit our Mastering the Trade playlist, so that'll teach you what we're talking about. Over on the Dixie, we are pushing forward, so this is our dollar index. So remember, that shows that if dollar are the US dollar index, so that's the strength of the dollar basically. This, as it pushes forward, typically can bring crypto down. So I would watch if we do continue to run up and we hit this 105 and break through. If we hold at that point, we could continue with higher highs with higher lows, and again, that likely would bring crypto lower. Stochastic does want to round, momentum does want to push forward. That VWAP is attempting to bounce, so we have some indecisive indicators. That VWAP does have lower highs with lower lows, so I would watch close. If that VWAP does reject over the next couple days, the next couple candles here, that yellow wave, then it's likely we could push lower. That momentum, our blue wave, is rounding away, but we have that green dot because our VWAP is pushing forward. So as that VWAP gains strength, that pushes momentum higher, which in turn pushes our money flow, that green wave, higher as well. And that money flow shows if people are buying or selling. If our money flow is pushing up, then we're going to be buying, meaning price action is going to go forward. RSI does want to push up. Our stochastic is riding in the overbought area. So overall, that is positive. If that stochastic can continue to be in the overbought area, it can continue to push us up, but I would exercise some caution as well. So if we look here, we may have a parallel channel. We have a pretty good parallel channel, or rising channel, sorry, using the parallel channel tool, but we do want to measure from the resistance to support top to bottom, apply that down if I can grab the line, and that is a bearish pattern. Again, that does sound like it wants to push you forward because it says it's rising, but it could be a bearish pattern overall. We do cover these common patterns in that Mastering the Trade playlist as well, so make sure you check it out. VWAP is overall pushing down. That could continue to weaken if those lower time frames break down, so I would exercise caution. Remember, you want this to get confirmed, so you want to break above that resistance, hit the top of this channel, and push lower, or hit resistance and start rejecting, and then push your support. Then you would want to watch for your breakdown away from that support and your retest. At that retest where you break out, you push lower, then you come back up, retest the bottom, get rejected. That's where you would want to enter your short. It's not wise to enter here because we can still tear up and invalidate. Patterns are not 100%. Our stochastic does want to round away. RSI is pushing up. VWAP is starting to round away. Momentum is losing strength as a result, and the money flow is pushing forward because VWAP and momentum are bullish. But if the VWAP and momentum start to round away, that money flow will start to follow. Over on the 2 hour here, we are attempting to push forward. We are getting some red candles here, so I would exercise caution for a resistance. If we get resistance in this area, we likely would round away and break down. Momentum is rounding away. That VWAP is starting to break down. We do have lower highs, and we are trying to make a lower low, so I would exercise caution. Our stochastic is pushing up. RSI is gaining strength. So overall, we do want to gain some strength here, but we're starting to struggle. So I would watch if that momentum and VWAP break down here. We could see a retracement of all these gains, and that would in turn push crypto further up. Over on the 1 hour here, momentum is starting to crash down. Our stochastic is pulling back. VWAP does want to break into the bearish territory. We have lower highs with consistent lows. Those lows are weak though, so if we do push forward and gain strength, we could see a bullish trend. However, with the highs being just as weak, it's easy to say we could gain bearish traction and drop lower. This is on our 1 hour, so we are very indecisive. If we zoom in here, we do have higher lows here on this VWAP, so I would watch for it to break up like this. If it does break up like that previous wave, watch for higher highs with higher lows. However, if we continue to reject lower and we do see a lower low on our VWAP, I would watch for the lower lows with lower highs and favor under that 0 area. If we see that bearish favor, then we likely will see that break down. So over on total for the daily, we did get a wick up. We tried to push back into the golden pocket, so that is on our Fibonacci retracement zone. Again, we cover that in the Master in the Trade series. Momentum does want to push up. That blue wave, it has a green dot signaling the VWAP is trying to break bullish, that yellow wave. So if our yellow wave can break forward that VWAP, then our money flow and could start to gain strength, as that momentum would gain strength, and the momentum gives the money flow the strength, and the VWAP gives our momentum the strength. So our RSI does want to push forward. Stochastic is pushing forward, that double line, but our stochastic is under the 30. So remember, when we're below 30 on stochastic and RSI, we are bearish. Above 30, we are bullish. So the RSI, the red line, does look like we are trending down. And as that stochastic, the double line, favors this oversold area, we likely could continue lower, seeing further bearish momentum. However, we do have that positivity on the Dixie. So remember, as long as the Dixie breaks down and rejects, we could see a push forward on crypto. We do have higher lows. We do have higher highs. They don't connect very well. So unlike Dixie, that does not create a rising channel. This creates more of a bullish continuation channel possibility. A bullish continuation channel is where you get higher highs with higher lows, but they don't connect like the rising channel does. Our stochastic does want to round away. We do have that orange above blue, and we are starting to come back from the overbought area. That's this maxed out area up here you see. So the stochastic is starting to pull back, which could in turn weaken our RSI, so I would exercise caution. But we could see stochastic make a bounce like it did back here. We saw stochastic dip down. Price action didn't drop too bad, but it did take a bit of a retracement. That VWAP, our yellow wave, is starting to pull back. Momentum is starting to round away that blue wave. So remember, as that VWAP favors the bearish territory under our 0 here, that momentum will continue to weaken, and that money flow will continue to weaken as well. So I would watch the lower time frames. We need those to remain more positive if that 4 hour is going to gain some strength here. Our stochastic is starting to drop down. RSI is weakening here on the 2 hour. Our VWAP is in the bearish territory, and the money flow is starting to pull back. So I would exercise caution with that VWAP favoring bearish. If we see lower highs with these lower lows, we will see momentum fall down, money flow would break down, and then price action will follow. We have that manipulation X, the double manipulation X. We did warn that it typically does break you down, but again, just like patterns, there's no crystal ball in trading. Nothing's 100% guaranteed. We do have a manipulation X though, coming off the tail end of the other one, so that being said, we could see that play out, providing we do see more. Over on the 1 hour, we are overall pushing down. This could be like a really weak shoulder, head, shoulder. If that were the case, you want to draw this out with your head and shoulder tool. Then we draw up this real quick, and then that can give you a breakdown. You would measure from your head down to your neckline and apply that line down. I don't know why it keeps giving me a cursor, and that could break you down to that 584. RSI is pulling back, stochastic is weakening, causing RSI to drop, which will in turn weaken price action. So if we don't get bounce here, we're right on that neckline. If we don't get bounce here, we could see the hourly breakdown. We could retest this consolidation range back here. And if we break that range, that's where we could see those drop downs to around like the Fibonacci range of our 505 and possibly the bottom of our previous cycle high and low area of this 456. So remember, this band we have mapped here, it's from the previous bull market. It's where the highs and lows were before we got the major breakdown. So if we break this range, we could see further bearish momentum. Momentum is dropping down here. VWAP is pulling back. Stochastic is dropping down. We rejected that 30, bringing RSI lower, and price action is going to continue lower if that stochastic continues to remain bearish, weakening our RSI while we see that VWAP pull back. Remember that RSI and our VWAP are two of the stronger indicators on this market cipher B. So over on Bitcoin dominance, we did get a little bit of a push up as Bitcoin gained and total dropped. So that shows how Bitcoin dominance is more reflective of Bitcoin versus altcoins and stable coins. It doesn't mean Bitcoin's going to tear one way or another, but we could see Bitcoin drop because we do have a gap down. So I would exercise caution if dominance does weaken over time. That will bring Bitcoin lower. If it weakens for a day or two, not a big deal. If we're seeing like altcoins run up and Bitcoin's following and Bitcoin dominance is weakening, that would be because altcoins are outperforming Bitcoin finally, and then we would continue to see dominance slip away. Our stochastic is pulling back, RSI is pulling back here. That momentum has bearish divergence, that's what that red line is. That means we could see price action drop as that momentum's getting lower highs while price gets consistent or higher highs. That VWAP or yellow wave does have lower highs, and we are pushing below that neutral, so watch for lower lows. If we get lower lows from here, it's likely momentum will continue lower and that money flow will start to lose some strength. We can look at the 4-hour real quick. Stochastic is trying to push up, VWAP does want to push up, momentum is gaining strength, RSI is pushing forward, and we are trying to break above our EMA band. So if we can hold above this EMA band on our market cipher A, remember we're using market cipher B edits here, market cipher A free version, all free within TradingView, just like this information. So smash the like and hit the subscribe. Momentum is trying to push forward, VWAP wants to push up, so we are seeing a little bit of bullish strength while we try to break our EMAs. If this bullish strength can continue, we could continue to run forward. So over on Bitcoin futures for the daily, if I can zoom out here, we do still have that double top possibility that can break us down to 30K. We did break out of our rising channel, We broke out of the rising channel here, and we did retest it yesterday or today, depending on how you want to look at. Bitcoin futures does trade a little different than Bitcoin. So we'll call it for the day. We did retest, we tried to come in, we got rejected. If we continue to reject at this point, this may be your short opportunity. If you're in it for shorts, we could see that drop down to that 61.7. If we don't hold that range where our value area low and our resistance area is, then we could see that drop to our 56.995. And remember, if we break that and break our neckline for our double top, that's where we could see that 30K drop. Oops, meant to go to the 4-hour there, so sorry about that. So over on the 4-hour, you can see we have that retest, so this is a little stronger. We got retest, got a rejection, got a retest, and we rejected again. Watch if we can continue this. This is creating a little bit of a rising channel that could end up breaking us below our rising channel to give us further bearish momentum. Stochastic does want to round away. RSI is pulling back. VWAP does have lower lows, so I would watch if it rejects and gets lower highs. If that happens, momentum likely will continue lower, money flow will continue to weaken, and we will see that daily continue to weaken as well, resulting in Bitcoin to break down because remember, Bitcoin futures does lead Bitcoin price. Over on the 2-hour, we did get higher highs with higher lows, so we had a rising channel here, and then we broke away from it. If we drew that channel out, you could see we're getting a bit of a retest right now. So if we can break through this retest area, we could get bullish momentum, but currently we are starting to pull back and reject our EMA band. So if we continue to reject that EMA band, that's where we're going to possibly see 61K. Stochastic is dropping down, VWAP is favoring bearish, momentum is weakening, and the money flow does want to pull back. Overall, money flow is favoring bearish. It was trying to go up as momentum was favoring bullish, but now VWAP's breaking down, momentum is following, so money flow is going to start to follow and reject if we don't gain strength soon. Over on the 1-hour, RSI wants to pull back, stochastic is starting to round away. Our momentum, that blue wave, is pushing down with a red dot, signaling that the VWAP, our yellow wave, is starting to break toward the bearish territory. Remember, if that continues, while momentum and VWAP pull back, we will see that red wave, our money flow, continue to weaken, meaning people are selling our asset more than they're buying, and as these lower timeframes pick up further bearish momentum, we will see those higher timeframes pick up further bearish momentum, and that could push us down toward their support areas of like our 61.7 and that 56.995 and possibly 30K if we're unlucky. So make sure you have a plan. because if you're holding right now and you're in profit and we drop to 30K, you're going to be pretty sore. So make sure you take some profits just in case. Again, we could see a run up, but our side does want to pull back. Stochastic is starting to round away. This is on Bitcoin on the daily. Momentum is dropping down, and the VWAP does want to break that neutral. If that yellow wave can manage to hold above that neutral, momentum could continue forward, and we could see a decent bounce here. We did come near that 63K, and we did not break through it. So if we can see a rounding bottom, we would need a strong green candle, then we could try to run forward. Over on the 4-hour here, we do have a rejection just below that EMA, that 300 EMA. Remember that black EMA is a very strong area. If we're below it, we're likely continuing down. If we can break above and hold, we could start to continue forward. So we did pull to that yellow EMA. Remember, that's our 50-day EMA. Oops, sorry about that. You can go into your settings, see your inputs. So you have your green, your 5, your blue, your 20, and your yellow, your 50. And your gray, your 250, and your black, your 300. Those are the more important ones. The ones in the middle, they're just support resistance areas. Just remember that they are representative of that many candles on the time frame you're on. So 300 candles on the 1 hour, that's 300 hours. 300 candles on the daily, that's 300 days. So it takes more for that to be affected. Stochastic does want to drop down, RSI is pushing down, the VWAP is continuing to push down, causing momentum to round, and money flow is rejecting, so overall I would exercise caution there. Over on the 2-hour, we do have lower highs, we do have higher lows though, so this could try to make a goofy symmetrical triangle. It coming off a tail end of a consolidation doesn't mean it is a bull pendant or a bear pendant, it means it's just a symmetrical triangle for once, which has a 50-50 possibility of breaking up or down. So we could go up, we could go down with that pattern. Stochastic does want to push down. Momentum is trying to break bearish. VWAP is starting to round away and money flow is pulling back. So if that continues, I'm betting on the downside. Over on the 1 hour, our side does want to pull back. Stochastic is starting to round away. Momentum is dropping down with that red dot, meaning our VWAP or yellow wave is breaking into the bearish territory and causing that red wave, our money flow, to continue to weaken. And remember, as our momentum and money flow weaken on the lower time frames, they're going to weaken on the higher time frames, and we could start to break those support areas that we mentioned on futures. So I would exercise caution because Bitcoin does have the same double top possibility that could drop us around that 30K range if we're very unlucky. So over on graph for the daily, Stochastic does want to run up, RSI is gaining strength, VWAP is trying to push forward, momentum wants to run up, so we are trying to gain some traction here. Money flow does want to push up, but we are coming toward the top of our channel. This is where you want to see that break up and hold, and remember, just like we said on Bitcoin, we want to see a break and hold of the 300 EMA, that black line. If we can break and hold that, that's very positive, we could continue forward. However, if we hit it and reject, it's likely we could continue lower. Over on the 4-hour here, we are coming down for a retest. I would exercise caution because we retested, tried to bounce, and now we're rejecting. If we reject back into our pattern, we are going to see a breakdown, possibly toward that 16,316 again. Stochastic is starting to round away, RSI is dropping down, momentum is weakening with a red dot as that VWAP breaks down, and money flow does want to pull back, so overall I would exercise caution. Over on the 2-hour, momentum is weakening, Stochastic's dropping down, our RSI is breaking down, VWAP does have lower lows with lower highs, so we do have a bearish trend causing momentum to weaken, which will cause that money flow to continue lower if that momentum breaks bearish. Over on our 1 hour, RSI is pulling back, VWAP is dropping down, momentum is dropping down, and the money flow is bullish, but we're struggling. So if that money flow can't continue forward, we will see a drop down. We will start to reverse those higher time frames, and we could see a breakdown. So overall, real quick, I didn't see any 300 EMA touches besides the hour or the daily, so watch very close if we do get our break up. So over on Ankr for the daily, another one of our AI coins here, we are trying to push forward. We did try to make a bounce off that 30.79 and that 28.68. So we are seeing some decent momentum, but we have a long upper shadow candle. So remember, long upper shadow candles do show that the bulls are trying to push us up, but the bears are starting to gain control. If this isn't followed by a strong green candle, then we likely would reject here and push lower. However, if we do continue with this bullish momentum tomorrow, we're likely going to push to our 34.85, and try to break that range. Our stochastic is trying to run up, RSI is gaining strength, momentum does want to push up with the double green dot, which if that can continue, money flow will start to gain some strength, providing that momentum can become bullish. Over on the 4-hour here, momentum is rounding away, we have a red dot, stochastic is dropping down, RSI is weakening, money flow is pulling back, and the VWAP does want to break bearish, so I would exercise caution. If that VWAP breaks bearish and we get lower lows with lower highs, momentum will continue to weaken and money flow will reject. That would in turn weaken the daily and give us the potential to pull back. Over on the 2-hour, stochastic is starting to drop down, RSI is weakening, momentum is rounding away as that VWAP breaks down, so if that VWAP continues with lower lows and lower highs, momentum will continue to weaken and money flow could break down. If it breaks into the bearish territory and holds, we could see that flip of the trends, so we would have a bearish trend from this bullish trend we're in. Over on the 1-hour here, I would exercise caution. This could be a rising channel. We'll draw that out real quick. So we do have 2 highs here, 3 bottoms here, and we are coming back down. We tried to get some bullish momentum, and we are starting to reject with a manipulation X. So if we do break down away from this, we could see further bearish momentum. That could end up pushing us right around that 2950 area, so just shy of our 2883. Momentum does want to push down, RSI is weakening, stochastic does want to favor bearish, and the money flow is weakening. If that VWAP does not gain bullish traction, we will see momentum continue lower and that money flow will start to break down. Over on XRP for the daily, we are trying to push up and then we got rejected. So we had a long upper shadow candle. This one is a red long upper shadow candle. So what you want to watch here, if it's followed by a strong green candle. If not, if we see a red candle, we're likely going to continue lower. We can jump to the 1 hour though to unpack what happened here. So we did try to invalidate our pattern by pushing forward on our 3rd and 4th touch. But again, the whales do try to manipulate price. You did see this breakup. If you got out right at that breakup, they were trying to get you at the resistance area of this channel. Very good place that many people probably would have had a stop loss in place. You probably got stopped out. And then you would have just seen this downside and been mad. But if you had it just slightly above that resistance area, you probably could have been safe. And you might have been able to get some sort of a short here. But if you're watching for our drop, we do technically, I can't get the words out right now, we do technically have a retest and a rejection. So we did run up and then we continue to drop down. If this bearish momentum continues on the 1 hour, we will see RSI continue to drop. Stochastic is continuing to favor bearish. Momentum's dropping down. VWAP does want to reject away. It is trying to break bullish, but we're stagnant just under that neutral. So I would watch. If that starts to pull back, momentum will continue to favor bearish and money flow will continue lower. That would in turn weaken the higher time frame. Speaking of which, we'll jump to the daily real quick. Stochastic does want to round away. RSI is pulling back. Our VWAP does want to break down, so if that 1 hour does end up breaking lower, we're likely going to drop away here on the daily, and that could give us that drop down to our resistance areas that we've been mentioning all week. Momentum does want to round away, and money flow is pulling back. That's our 45 and our 35 ranges. Over on the 4 hour, we do have a retest, just like we said on the 1 hour. Stochastic is dropping down, momentum's pulling back, VWAP is breaking down, and the money flow does look like it wants to reject here. If that VWAP continues to favor bearish, momentum will drop down and that money flow will follow, which will in turn give us another leg to the downside. And if we can't hold right around that 48 cents, that's where we could see that break down to our lower targets. Over on the 2 hour, we did retest our EMA level. Again, another area that the whales were trying to push you up. So if you were just above that EMA, you could have been safe. We did hit that EMA, we got rejected, and we are pulling back. Or if you were watching for a run up, that likely should have been the place you were targeting for a sell off or at the top of this channel. Momentum does want to drop down, stochastic is pushing down, RSI is pulling back, and VWAP is continuing to favor bearish. We have lower lows with lower highs. If this continues, we will continue to see a sell off here. Over on the 1 hour, we do have that retest. We did reject, so we covered all this just recently. Visit that if you want the full breakdown. Exercise caution though, because we do look a little more on the bearish side. Over on ALGO for the daily, RSI is pulling back, stochastic does want to run forward, momentum does have a double green dot, VWAP wants to push up. If that yellow wave, our VWAP can sustain bullish momentum will continue forward, and money flow could start to gain strength, providing that momentum does run through the neutral area first. We are attempting to bounce off our 1350, so I would watch if we can continue forward. That would be positive, but we do have a big push up and then a drop down right to like where we opened. That's what this candle's showing. That does also show bulls tried to run us up and bears wound up in control. If bears gain control tomorrow, we likely would create a rounding top that could break that support area, possibly retesting that 1032 like we've been warning. Over on the 4-hour, stochastic is pulling back, RSI is dropping down, momentum's rounding away, the VWAP does want to break down, and money flow is pulling back. So overall, I would exercise caution. Over on the 2-hour, stochastic's dropping down, momentum's rounding away, VWAP is breaking down, money flow is favoring bearish, so if that VWAP continues to favor bearish, we will see momentum break down, and money flow will continue to gain bearish momentum, which could give us the bearish strength to break down and weaken those higher time frames. Over on the 1-hour, RSI is pulling back, VWAP is favoring bearish, momentum is dropping down, and money flow does want to break down, so overall I would exercise caution. If that VWAP does continue with our rejection, we would have lower lows with lower highs, momentum will continue to weaken, money flow could flip bearish, and we could see a trend reversal if that prolongs for several hours. Thank you for watching tonight's video. I hope you have a great night. Remember to like and